Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the 12 figures that we still need in the Masters of the Universe Origins line before Mattel calls it quits. Now, I did make a video about 2 weeks ago, and it was, will Motu end in 2022? I was asking the question. I was just saying what I see out there. A lot of people think that I don't like Masters of the Universe, but that's the complete opposite. I am having more fun collecting this than I've ever had collecting Masters of the Universe, including back in the early 80s. But anyway, let's get into seeing what we need in this line before it's over, and I have a little bit of bonus at the end coming up. So number 12 is Cobra Con, and I still think you can get this figure, the actual vintage one, for a pretty good price on eBay or some of the other sites, or maybe at a local shop. So it's not really a valuable figure, but it's a figure that you really need to match the origins. So it's a cool looking figure. I'm curious if they put any sort of gimmick with it, if they did, or how they would change it, how they go about it. But it'd be kind of interesting to have this character. And I know a lot of people do like the Snake Men also, and I really don't know much about the lore. I'm a casual collector, but I'd like to see this in the Origins line. Number 11 on my list is Too Bad. Now, I don't know much about this character, but I did recently just pick one of these up for about $5 at a local toy shop. And one of the things about it is that it's really top heavy. And with the old school rubber in the legs, getting this guy to stand is a challenge. So I would like to see this figure made in the Origins line. It would look pretty cool. It would be pretty awesome. And I'd like to see better articulation and the ability to do more with this character, with this figure. It would be interesting, it'd be fun. And again, this is another figure that can be found for relatively cheap in the vintage line, but it'd still be nice to have an update. So number 10 on my list is Extendar, and I really think that this figure is a cool figure. It's interesting. All it does, it's kind of a go-go gadget in the Motu universe, and I think that most of the vintage ones are pretty worn out. They don't hold very well. I'm sure there's ways to fix that and all of that, but I don't have a vintage one of these, and I never did, but I always thought it was an interesting looking character, an interesting looking figure, and would make a great Origins figure. The problem with this is this would probably have to be a deluxe, because they would probably have to make new parts, new molds to accommodate this feature. So I don't know. I don't want it to be a deluxe. I don't like that, but since there's only a couple bucks price difference now instead of a full $5 or $7, I guess it doesn't matter. Deluxe, mainline, they're both going to cost you pretty close to 20 bucks. So number 9 on my list is the Wonder Bread He-Man. Now, the thing about this is you're going to see on this list where I point out that a lot of the stuff can be found vintage for cheap. You can still get the vintage counterparts pretty cheap, but not this guy. Now, this guy is, it's not just rare, but it's ultra rare when it comes to the He-Man universe, because a lot of people thought it was a myth. And mostly what you find, if you look around, are customs. So yeah, people are going to make customs of this, and that's understandable. But to get a repaint, you know, Mattel seems to be in love with repainting classics, or not classics, but classic characters into different designs. But for the Origin line, why not do a Wonder Bread He-Man? I mean, there's a lot of other things going on. Wonder Bread He-Man would make so many collectors happy, so many collectors excited, and include all these accessories. That'd be great. So number 8 on my list is Spikor, and here's the thing about Spikor. If it's already been made in the Masterverse or Revelations line, which the Masterverse, Revelations, and there's Masterverse for other areas and categories, but still, it's been made recently. Kind of makes me think they'd make it in Origins too. So it should be one that's already in the planning stages, and should be pretty easy to make. But then again, probably deluxe because it has a new arm feature and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious how they'd go about that. Also, this is another one I picked up for $5, and it's another cheap figure that's out there. It's easy to get, but it'd be fun to have. But the other thing is, I'm going to make this similar type list for Masterverse Revelations or the general Masterverse overall down the road. Number 7 on my list is Cyclone, and this again is another one that had an interesting action feature back in the day, which obviously they're probably going to take the action feature out. How would they do it? I mean, I don't really know, but I think an action feature is kind of cool. But at the end of the day, this figure really did one thing, and it did it okay. I can't say did it well, it did it okay. It's still a cool, interesting looking figure. It'd be nice to have in the Origins. And again, I'd like to see how they go about representing this character. It'd be a lot of fun. It'd be really interesting if they did sort of something a little different to pay homage to the action feature. That'd be cool too. So number 6 on my list is Leech. Now, something about this character, I don't remember having it as a kid or even knowing about it as a kid. So I guess it's like, I see like a Hordak symbol on it. But the thing about this guy is that I seem to see it everywhere. Like, it's really super ultra common. And for that, I still think it's cool. It'd be nice to have one of these figures made in the modern representation. I see it a lot. It feels like I've had one of these forever. I've had one, and I think I got rid of it or something. But in the Origins line, with better articulation and modern engineering, it would be interesting to see what they could do with it. It would be really cool. And then I'm kind of curious how they would design the weapon, and would there be sort of a suction cup feature to it? I mean, there's a lot that they could do with modern technology, but how far would they go? Budget, price, all that kind of stuff. Still, kind of interesting to see Leech out into the Origins line. Also, Madina is another interesting character from back in the day, and I always thought it was interesting to see his eyes bug out. It's a super bugged out eyes, and they were also really bloodshot. So, interesting character, which again, this is one that's going to have new sculpt. So, all new sculpt. I don't see them reusing parts for it, but it would still be really cool and interesting to see this figure made. I'd like to see one in the Origins line. We need this in the Origins line. Then again, they're trying to keep the cost low. They're not keeping the price low. They're trying to keep the cost low. So reusing parts. If the figure reuses parts from another figure, then it's almost a guarantee they're going to make it. So not much guarantee. This is a hope, a wish, and a prayer to make this figure. But it wouldn't be cool to see this in the Origins line. So next up on the list is Modulo. Now, I think this is a really interesting, cool character. A lot of fun. It would definitely be, if not considered like a beast pack, it would definitely be a deluxe pack. And it would be cool for that reason. Now, I don't know if they could reuse anything on this or anything else. So again, that's going to make it a pipe dream for us. But wouldn't it be fun to have? Wouldn't it be interesting to get this in the Origins line? Wouldn't it be interesting to have articulation on all of the legs and all of the arms for this character? That would be outstanding. Ball jointed heads and all that kind of stuff. That would be interesting. It would be great. And maybe you buy 2 separate figures and put them together. Maybe that's how it works. That could work. We'll see. Just give me some Modulo in the Origins line. So number 3 on the list is Mossman. And this guy really does need to get made. It's very popular. It's already made for Revelations. And the thing is, he's got to be he's got to be rooted or flocked. However you want to say it. It's going to be flocked. It's got to be. But I got to say, Mossman is one of those top tier characters that you've got to include, and I'm surprised we haven't seen them yet. Maybe they're working out the flocking. Maybe they're just trying to figure out where they're going to release it, how they're going to release it. Nope. Make it flocked, make it mainline, make it in all the stores. Well, I don't know any stores that really carry Origins that much other than Target, but still, it would be nice to have this. It would be nice to get this. I'll order mine from BBTS. So number 2 on my list is Mechanic. Now, this has got to get made. You know, if they don't cancel the line in 2022, this needs to get made for the Origins line. I really think this character is a lot of fun, and it would be cool to be able to extend his head and not have to move him around all that much, and to have articulation with him, and the more vibrant popping colors would be great. I would really love to see this character. I don't know if they'd force us to buy a deluxe. Maybe it should be the regular one, but again, price is so close it doesn't matter these days. So really looks cool. It'd be so much fun to have this figure in Origins. What more could they do with it? Like, his head would extend up and it would still move around. That would be one big change. And he'd be able to do all different poses with his head extended up. So again, this one is kind of similar to Extendar, except he's got one bag of tricks. Extendar has an extensive amount of tricks, but still be fun to have Mechanic in Origins. So number 1 on my list is King Randor. Now, this is a figure, as a kid, I never knew they made him, to tell you the truth. I was out of He-Man before he came around, and nowadays, I would love to get a King Randor, but here's the problem. He is very expensive on the secondary market, and if he's complete, he's even more expensive. So with that, it's a challenge to get your hands on one of these vintage, and I don't even want a vintage one. I don't collect vintage. I only buy vintage characters if I think they're not making them in Origins, and I don't see why they wouldn't make this guy. I don't see why they would not put this guy out. I don't want them to do a plastic cape. I'd like a cloth cape, but it seems like, with what we saw with Scareglow, we got a plastic cape. So we'd probably get a plastic cape. But if we have to get them with the plastic cape, that's better than not getting them. King Randor would be awesome. You've seen the price of this guy on eBay. It's not pretty. It's not affordable. It's not cheap. He's one of the handful that are commanding quite a price. So next up, looking at a couple of things. This is the bonus round. I really think we need a Zor and a Screech. And I think that's right up the alley for Mattel because they're the same thing, basically, recolored. And the reason for it is because maybe they would be in a 2-pack, maybe they'd be sold separately. The price point wouldn't really be that high. There's not much to these figures, not much to the characters, but they're so important to the lore, and I really think we should get them. So for that fact, why not make these? Why not have these part of Origins? If these were part of the Origins line, would you buy them? Would you pre-order them? And if not, let me know. Am I way off here? And the last bonus round here, this would be a vehicle, I believe. They would be packaged like a vehicle, and that would be the Mantisaur. And the thing about this is that it's really cool, it's really interesting, and I would like to have one of these, just because. It would be a lot of fun. So we need this in the Origins line. Why not make it? I think that they will, actually, eventually. If they keep the line going, I don't see why they would not. And you start looking at it, there's a lot to Masters of the Universe and the whole world in there. But it would be nice to have this. What else would you like to see? So what do you guys think of my list? Do you agree with pretty much everything on this list? What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? And what should I put on this list if this was the last-ditch effort for Origins? And if you could pick 12 figures that need to get made before it's over, what did I miss? I'd like to know, actually, because it's really interesting to see what people are really looking forward to seeing out of the Origins line. And I'd like to know that. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Tiberium Hanger out.